The mountain did not look friendly. It smoked. Thunder rolled around its peak like a warning. The people stood at a distance, sandals half buried in sand, eyes wide. They had seen the sea open. They had eaten bread from the ground. They had followed fire through the dark. But this felt different. This felt like standing at the edge of something that could undo them. Moses climbed alone. The sound of the trumpet, no hands visible to play, shivered through the camp. Children buried their faces in their mothers' skirts. Old men who had survived Egypt wept openly. Why would God bring us here? Someone whispered. Not to drown us, not to starve us, to speak. At the summit, the fire did not consume Moses. It held him, wrapped him in a presence too heavy for ordinary breath. The voice that had split seas and shaken kingdoms did not shout now. It spoke, not laws first. Identity. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery before command. Rescue. Before requirement. Relationship. Down below, the people waited, restless and afraid. They had known masters who commanded without saving. They had known rulers who took without giving. They did not yet know how to stand before a God who begins with freedom. When Moses returned, his face altered by nearness, he carried more than stone tablets. He carried a covenant. He spoke the words aloud. You shall have no other gods before me. It was not jealousy like Pharaoh's. It was invitation. Do not go back to what enslaved you. You shall not make an idol. Not because God feared competition, but because idols shrink what cannot be contained. They turn mystery into manageable lies. You shall not misuse the name, because the name was not a weapon to control others. It was presence. Power without cruelty. Remember the Sabbath, a command unlike any Egypt had given. Rest was not weakness, it was resistance. A weekly rebellion against slavery's rhythm. Honor your father and mother. Not blind obedience, but memory. A way of stitching generations together so freedom would not be forgotten. You shall not murder. Life had weight now. No longer expendable brickmakers, but image bearers. You shall not commit adultery. Faithfulness was not just private virtue. It was practice for covenant itself. You shall not steal, because a people rescued by grace must not become predators of one another. You shall not bear false witness. Truth was the mortar of their new society. Without it, they would crumble from within. You shall not covet. The final word turned inward. Freedom was not only about chains removed, but desires reshaped. As each command settled over them, the people felt the strangeness of it. These were not random restrictions. They were boundaries around a relationship. God was not building a prison. He was building a people. The tablets were stone, yes, but they were also story. A story that began in mud pits and crossed a sea. A story that insisted holiness was not distance but difference, living unlike the empire they had escaped. The people trembled. Speak to us yourself, they told Moses. Do not let God speak directly, or we will die. They were not wrong. Nearness is terrifying when you are newly free. Moses looked at them, at their fear and their hunger and their stubborn hearts. Do not be afraid, he said. God has come to test you so that the fear of him will keep you from sinning. It sounded like a contradiction. It was not. The fear that once crashed and was gone. In its place was all the kind that guards love rather than destroys it. That night, the mountain still smoked, but in the camp below, families repeated the words to one another. Around cooking fires and whispered prayers, they began to understand. This was not a list carved in stone for control. It was a vow, God binding himself to them, they binding themselves to him, and to each other. A covenant written in fire so they would not forget who had set them free.